What's up? What's up? What up? We hit the building. And I'm, first thing, I've been, before I start this podcast, y'all don't even know who I have in the house. I mean, I feel like I'm surrounded by real gladiators. Like, this is today's gladiators, minus Cody's in the house. But I still love him. Guys, I'm just going to just say it real quick. We have a general in the house, and I just got to say it real quick. At ease, sir. You're at ease.
Well, thanks. I feel much more relaxed now.
We got General Clay. How do you say your last name?
Hutmacher.
Hutmacher. See, I didn't want to butcher it. Did not want to butcher it.
You will not butcher it as bad as it's been butchered. So
I bet mine deal. We got Mr. Mike. Go ahead, say it, Mike.
What up, what up, what up?
Yeah. And who'd you bring down here?
I brought Mr., because he's a warrant officer, Mr. Brett Stowe.
Nice. Nice. So you guys all moving to Colorado Springs now?
He does.
You're just visiting? Savannah, huh? Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh, I love it.
There's worse places to be.
Right, I guess there is, right? Well, and we have the general here. Where are you from?
I live in Tampa.
Tampa.
Yeah, I'm not from there, but that's where I retired when I got out of the military.
You like that warm weather down there?
Well, and the job's there. So,
yeah.
Running the Special Ops Warrior Foundation, so that's right there. So I just moved off base, and that's where I've been hanging my hat since.
Well, that's kind of what we're here today, because we want to talk a little bit about that whole situation. And, I mean, I must say, before we get started, we all have mutual friends, Baker, right?
Yeah.
And he's all like, yeah, you need to get him on your podcast. And I'm like, okay, I'm down. I want this. This is cool. I mean, this is an honor, honestly. But I called Snyder and I called Mike right away. I'm like, hey, you guys free? He goes, I'm already going to do one with him. And I was like, come on, Mike, I need you, brother. But for the past 2 nights, I've been brushing up on my homework. I watched Full Metal Jacket the first night.
Which is pretty accurate for my experiences in the Marine Corps. We're like that, yeah.
Saving Private Ryan last night. I fell asleep a little bit.
Before my time.
Yeah, a little before, right? But I just had to get the talk. But so these guys are here to help. And, when you got a general here, it's a 2-star general.
Yep.
And it's honestly a pleasure. And I'm going to drink some bourbon, because I got a general in the house, in the studio, and you got plans, so you can't be getting all tipsy with me tonight. But I don't know what's up with you guys, but you guys are being soft.
We can get there, but
I'm gonna let Mike ask the first question, because I know he's kind of been eager to get down here. He drove all the way from Colorado Springs to get here and talk to you, and we want to talk a little bit about the operations of what you got going on.
Okay.
So, Special Operations Warrior Foundation, right? I listened to a podcast on the way up here with you on it. What was that podcast, Brett? I can't remember.
I don't remember what it was called.
But either way, it's something that we're both really passionate about, because you're taking care of the children of fallen soldiers. And I've heard you say multiple times, you talk about the Black Granite Memorial in front of 160th.
Yep.
And people don't think about that. So this is going to get kind of sad at first. We'll have more fun later. But
no, it's real. Yeah.
People don't think about it, though. If I die overseas, or he dies overseas, or he dies overseas, we died doing what we signed up to do, right?
Correct.
But the families that are left behind, it's a huge impact, and it completely, their life just does a 180.
100%.
Absolutely.
And we have 2 friends that, so it was our first sergeant and our sniper section leader. Both of them got to spend about a month with their firstborn male children.
Yeah, if that. Yeah.
And then we deployed, and they never saw them again. So these kids are being raised without fathers. They're being raised without, not saying that you have to have a father, but
a male figure, but
yeah.
They're dead.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I was listening to you talk about it, and one thing you said was, I want to hear more about the mentorship program, because as an outdoorsman, that's something I'm super passionate about, and I feel like it's good, and that's something that I don't have children, but like I want to take Gage and Brody out hunting.
Right. Well, our mentorship program, there are lots of folks that do that, right? One of my guys, Matt Worrell, call sign Bubba, was killed in Yusufia in '06, right before I took command of 1160. His son was out shooting hogs with a mentor group from out of helicopters last week. And his kids were paying for his education. So our mentorship program starts in 8th grade, and it's more focused on, hey, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? So if you want to, let's say I want to be a mechanical engineer, or I want to be a plumber or a welder or whatever. So what's your path to get there, right? So if you want to be a doctor, here's the things you need to start doing now to get you on that path. So that starts in 8th grade. And then in high school, we transitioned to another program which focuses more on setting up their social media stuff, getting them ready to do internships in college and things like that. Because our program, as you heard me talk, and I've perfected the art of making a short story long. You probably picked up on that in your when you heard me. But the end state for us is not necessarily a degree. The end state for us, for these kids, is getting started in a career. So, we figure that mentorship is a key piece of that, right? If they get into an internship, my oldest just got hired by John Deere, and he was interning with John Deere. So, we see the value in that. And so that's why we're doing that. We do work with other groups. There's a couple of, there's a Lieutenant General Frank Herne, former Ranger. I think he commanded the 173rd. Retired as a 3-star. He's part of one of these mentor groups, and we got 3 kids, I think, going to it that they run out of Wyoming to do hunting and fishing and things like that. So, that's cool. So what we do is we provide the information to our kids. Hey, if you want to do this. We have 992 kids in our program as of today.
Oh, that's awesome.
So the youngest ones the youngest one is Dustin Ard. His dad, 3rd group, Sergeant First Class, Dustin Gabriel Ard, was killed in 2019, August. His son was born January 4th of 2020. So he never met his son. We have several like that. A couple of Rangers. But we have that kid now all the way. We have Dustin all the way through college graduation and beyond.
Wow.
So, but we work with those groups, and I'd be happy to link you up with them because I think that's valuable stuff, especially because there's no father figure there. It's just we got our hands full with just the education piece.
Oh yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah,
but I love the concept of your mission just because we're connected to it, right? Like we're not special operations, but we're connected to it. So.
Well, and now we just, I don't know if it was in that podcast because it's recent, but we expanded our eligibility 6-8 months ago to cover the children of all Medal of Honor recipients, living and deceased. So I think there's about 30 of them out there that are still school-aged, and I say school-aged all the way through college. And I think we've tracked down about 20 of them so far.
And let me ask you this. So, like, you run them all the way through high school, college, or whatever.
Yep.
And
preschool. Starts in preschool.
Preschool.
Yep.
I mean, and, like, can you tell me, like, what is, like, do most of them become very successful? Like, what they want to do? I mean, obviously, I'm sure career changes.
Yeah.
But, like,
Yeah, so we take that, we talked about it before the podcast, but we have a very unique approach, right? So we take a long view of these kids. So we start with them in preschool because, and frankly, I'll be honest with you, when I first signed on to the foundation, I was skeptical, like, we're paying for preschool? How much are we paying for that? Mm-hmm. Well, at the time, we were paying $5,000 per year per child. Now we're paying $8,000. And they laid it out for me. It's really about reading, giving these kids a head start on reading. That just they are ahead of the game, and so we believe in that.
I never had that.
Well, I didn't either.
I never had that.
My preschool was more similar to juvenile detention or something. But and then the you know, and if you think about it, this has all got the end in mind, right? So the preschool's the first step, but tutoring will take a struggling kid and move him or her into about the middle of their peer group. It'll take a average student and move them up to the top of their peer group. That's been our experience. And so if this kid wants to be a brain surgeon,
Right.
well, this investment early on, and most foundations are focused on college scholarships, right?
Right.
And believe me, I had 3 kids in college.
Yeah.
I've been helping them,
Yeah,
like
trying to
sending them
fulfill-
applications. Yeah, I mean, and that's valuable. But we do it. We call it cradle to career. So we start with these kids early, and we got 6 education counselors in the foundation, and that's what they do. And they have this incredibly tight and very personal relationship with these kids and their parents. And to me, that's why we have these super high college attendance rates. That's why we have these super high. 93% of our kids graduated on time from college last year. 38 out of 41 kids went to college, the high school graduates last year. That's way, way above the national averages.
Yeah.
And these are kids that are probably, not always, but probably in a single parent home.
Yeah.
They've lost a parent. I mean, these are kids that you would expect to struggle, and many of them do. And that's why we've taken that, we've got to compensate for some trauma in their life. And I think this hands-on long view is the right way to do that. And I would argue that our success rate bears that out, and I think validates the approach. And we're constantly expanding it and adding more and doing more for them. Because our number 1 priority is student success. Number 2 priority is support the wounded. Those are our, no kidding, number 1, number 2 priorities in the foundation.
That is cool. I must say, we were talking before we started the podcast recording and everything, and I just trying to get to know you. You are just probably one of the most friendly, outspoken guys I know, and I haven't met many generals, but I must say, you are by far one of the coolest guys I've met so far. And I called Snyder after you did the podcast with KafaroCast. I said, "Hey man, how was it?" He goes, "Man, I'm actually going to probably come down and hang out again because he was that cool tonight. That he had a great time with you," he said. And
cool.
Before we get off the topic, but I wanted to say, how many of those kids that lost, their dad or their mother, joined the armed forces?
A lot of them. We had 2. I think we had 2 go into the service academies this year,
real?
which of course paid for. We still actually give them some money for miscellaneous stuff to travel home and all that. Maybe about 10, 12 grand a year. So it's healthy.
So some money.
Yeah, that's good.
And we spend about an average of $150K per kid. If they, average, that's from starting in preschool, and some more, some less. So we had, I said we had 38 graduate high school this year. 2 went in the military. So not a lot. And we don't push them into a 4-year institution. We don't push them to college. We push them to follow their passion and their dreams. And if that, like I said, if that's going in the military, we're all about it.
Right.
I mean, I think the intangible things you get from serving in the military, serving a cause greater than self, the relations, shared sacrifice, that you can't teach that.
No.
Right? I mean, and so I'm a big fan of it. I mean, I'd probably be living under an overpass in a refrigerator box right now if I had to join the military.
Speaking my language.
Yeah. I mean, it's the truth. And I was telling you that my dad was drafted in Vietnam.
67, you said?
Yeah, 67. And, when he got out, of course, they didn't treat him very well, right? When they got out. When he obviously he got married, my mother, and had kids. From when I started hitting, high school and stuff, and the recruiters came around, he pretty much begged me to stay away
from the military.
From the military, right? And I never really understood it, right? Like, out of all my siblings, I was the one that wanted. I mean, obviously, I was a fighter, right?
Yeah.
I think the action,
I'm just
right?
throwing this out there. You would have fit right.
Yeah, I know, right?
He'd have been fine.
Right.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do that, and it's one of my biggest regrets not serving my country, honestly, because I'm so proud of my dad.
Yeah,
And all my cousins that done it, and like guys that I meet. I just, I have all the respect for anybody that served, right? Yeah. I don't care if it's reserves or, I can't even make fun of like everybody. You started in the Marines, right?
Yep.
And
Private E1, 17.
Really?
Yep.
And I get a lot of Marine buddies that say, they make fun of Air Force, right, or whatever.
And I'm married to an Air Force, former Air Force officer.
Yeah, see, but
you would make fun of my wife. I'll tell you that.
That's what I'm saying. Like I can't.
She
make
should
fun
have been
of
a Marine.
I cannot make fun of them because they did way more than me, right? And anybody, I don't make fun of them, but guys that are enlisted can actually do it in different branches, obviously.
Yeah.
Army guys, whatever. I respect them all, right? Anybody that's serving.
As do I.
Yeah. And but I just got to say, man, I thank you all and anybody that's listening that served. When you were, looking into this organization, like what really intrigued you about the whole thing, though?
Well,
because it's a lot of time from.
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, I'm out. I'm traveling a lot. I'm not deployed to crappy places. I mean, you know, I was out shooting hogs outside Austin. Ted Nugent did a concert for us before.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I mean, shooting hogs with thermals and all that. Like that's not, my wife's like, cry me a river, pal.
Yeah.
That's a lot of heavy.
Sounds like my wife.
But
you're going on vacation again?
Yeah.
Work, babe.
Yeah, well, Aaron, man, that guy, he's slayed more. I mean, that guy's like,
Aaron?
He's a serial killer big time. But so
He is
what?
a serial killer.
Yeah. So what got me on this? Well, two things really. So first, I knew the Special Ops Warrior Foundation existed because I guess I was a customer before, and I didn't know anything about it. I mean, I knew they did education. I didn't know they did wounded. I didn't know it was a cradle to career approach. I didn't know any of that. All I knew is that when I lost someone, and when I was the 160th commander, at the time in the Special Ops world, the 160th at the 06 level command, we had lost the most people since 9/11.
Really?
So, sir,
Of any soft
explain
unit.
that, though. What is at the 06 level command?
So a regimental level or brigade level command for the non-military colonel level command. And, where our peer organizations are the Ranger Regiment, Special Forces groups, a SEAL group, right? Group 1, Group 3, there's, several of them. Air Force wing is commanded by a 06, a colonel. And so we had lost, it's just the nature of the beast flying helicopters, right? So we had lost, at that time, and I've never really went out and caught the numbers, that's what I was told by my predecessor, was that we had suffered the most casualties. And so we did these memorials every year, and we all have our own unique memorials. Rangers have their own, SEALs have their own, we have our own. Air Force Air Commandos have their own. And we all engrave the name of our fallen on that wall. But what you learn as a commander and serving in the Special Ops world is there's a whole family behind that name, right? So Mike said, "Hey, we all sign up for this." I mean, there were several times when I thought I was going to die. I mean, I've crashed a couple times, not a great, sort of an indictment on my piloting skills, probably.
How many times do you crash?
I mean, bounces, hard landings, I mean, let's not blow this out of proportion. I'm not leaving a pile of molten steel behind me.
I just broke a strut last week.
Yeah. I mean, but...
It sounds like I would shit my pants.
Yeah, well, I did. I mean, I didn't do that, but I just didn't think of it. I would have. But we, we lost a lot of people. So Desert Storm, I was over there. We lost an airplane right off the end of the runway. Killed 7 dudes. 4 in the aircraft, the crew members, and then 2 SF medics and a sergeant major. Sergeant Major Hurley, who was a plank holder in a special mission unit organization. But all of those guys left behind a family. So I realized that. Yeah. So that's my first reason, right? So I understood when this job was offered to me, I understood the impact on the families, right? Right. So when we lose someone, there's a spotlight put on that family for a very short period of time.
Yep.
The unit coalesces around them. They take care of them. They deliver meals to their house. I mean, and that's not just soft. That's all units do that. But then after the memorial and the funeral, the unit's got to move on. They've got a mission to do. The families move on. And those families, their lives are still jacked up. But this, cradle to career of this long approach, this is that commitment that sustains that support to the family, at least in taking care of their kids over the long term. So that's why. That's the first reason. The second reason is, hey, I joined the Marine Corps at 17 years old, living in a foster home as a high school dropout.
No shit.
Yeah. So, and I mean, literally, I just knew, hey, I am going nowhere fast, and I need to jump in the deep end of the pool and get some structure in my life. And, the Marines definitely provided that, and then some, I would say. But I went back to school at night. I got my high school diploma, started going to college, and I did that. And that's enabled me to, that was never my goal, by the way, to be a general, but that education is what, gave me that possibility. I would have never been in the ballpark. I wouldn't have been inside the range fan if I hadn't done that. And now I got a couple of master's degrees. I got, and all that. And so I understood that education was a total game changer for me. And I'm not saying that you got to go to a 4-year institution, but to me, it was a difference maker.
Right.
And so I believe in it on those two fronts. I believe in it because I've lost people, and a lot of the pictures on the walls in our foundation are pictures of the kids of guys that I served with. My vice president is Sean Corrigan, a career special forces officer, and he can tell you the same. He can walk down, because we've got thousands of pictures on our walls, and he can sit there and point to this kid and that kid. And so those two reasons are why I'm so passionate about it. And and I wasn't planning on doing a nonprofit gig. Vice Admiral Joe McGuire was the previous president, Navy SEAL, retired 3-star. Before him was the Air Force Colonel John Carney. Both of them did great work, but Joe McGuire took a position on the Trump in the Trump administration. He was the director of a National Counterterrorism Center. And then he moved up and was the director of national intelligence after Coates as the acting. But and they asked me if I would throw my name in the hat, and I followed in on them. And I go to work every day knowing I'm making a difference. So.
That's awesome.
A huge difference.
Yeah, it's not just like let me ask you this question. So how do you get funding for something like this? It's all nonprofit, right?
Yeah, I mean, frankly, one of the reasons I'm doing these podcasts, the main reason I'm doing
get the
these
name
podcasts,
out there. Yeah.
Well, yeah, we don't pay for advertising.
You're gonna get millions now sent your way after.
You think?
Can
I tie you to that?
Please do not quote me on this.
Because I got.
We will help. We will help.
I got a pen if you need something to fill out a check. I'll hook you up. And I'll do the zeros part.
I tell you what.
Yeah.
I tell you what. This is like just. After I looked into research of everything, we work with, it's called Hero Sports. They're out of Texas. It's a nonprofit organization with vets. We take them hunting, fishing, softball, play sports. We work with them all the time. We do all kinds of stuff. I donate stuff. They use my logos, my everything. They build money. Anything you need from us, where they're fighters, I'm telling you, high caliber fighters, fundraisers, signing gloves.
Well, we got some kids that are struggling academically,
Yeah,
so we may need their butt kicked.
You want to left hook them?
Hey, we tried nice, so now we're gonna crush you.
Yep.
No,
but I was the same way though. Like I grew up in a small town, and I was, like I said, you were the 17-year-olds drop out. I was on that path. I had great mom and dad. I had great brothers and sisters. I just was that person that wanted to break the rules and do my own thing. But if I didn't have good teachers, and good role models like an older brother, I don't know if I would be sitting across from a general and some badass gladiators right now. I don't know, man. I'm pretty happy with how I came out.
Well, I would say you're doing pretty well.
I'm doing all right. Yeah. I got a great wife and great family.
That's all that matters.
That's my prize right there. Yep. So tell me. I mean, Mike, you want to know a little bit about General. I wanted to talk to you about him, and you, Brett. 17-year-old, you said you would never thought you'd be a general. When did you start thinking about making that leap?
Well, when I made sergeant, I was gassed. I mean, I was like, hey, this is the big time here. I'm not cleaning the latrines anymore, though I do clean commodes at home still. So I still have it. I'm still sort of in that private mode when I get back to the house. When I made 1-star, we had my promotion ceremony. We came back to the house. We had a bunch of folks coming over. Right. My wife said, hey, how does it feel to be a general? And I said, yeah, it's pretty cool,
Right.
And she said, well, tell me how it feels after you clean the toilet, because I guess it's going to be in 15 minutes. So I remain on latrine duty to this day. But it was, I never obviously considered it a possibility. When I graduated officer candidate school, I sort of, did the math. I had right at 10 years in. I was just shy of 10 years when I graduated officer candidate school. So statistically, there was no chance in hell that I was going to be a general.
Yeah.
But I thought my goal was
there might be hope for you, my friend.
No,
he's too far along that path.
I'm way too deep.
He's about 5 years late. 5 years late.
I'm way too deep.
Yeah, but I thought, when I got commissioned as a second lieutenant, my goal was sort of major. I said maybe I can make major, right? And that would have been fine. But then, some things went my way. I went into the special ops community, which was not a career-enhancing deal at the time. I mean, it was you're going behind the fence. You're not going to be in the mainstream. But I think when I got command of the 160th, I mean, that's a kingmaker kind of job. I mean, it's by far the most expensive brigade in the Army, probably in the world. We do a lot of, pretty high, something bad's happening to somebody bad and there's helicopters involved. It's probably the 160th that's doing it. And if it's a soft type mission. So then I said, hey, I may actually be a general. And I still am bewildered about how all that happened. But, I made it, and then I made 2-star, and there was an opportunity to go on. It's just I've been in so long, and I felt like I owed it to my family to spend some time with my family. And I was working for General Thomas, 4-star. He's actually the chairman of the board of the Special Ops Warrior Foundation now. Kidding. And I just called him one day and said, hey, if you want me to stay, I'll stay. But, I think I'd prefer to hang it up. I've been, it'll be close to 41 years before I hang this up. And he said, hey, listen, you're a T on the patriotism part.
Your patriotism is done. I don't know.
So let's circle back to that, though. Yeah. Right? So being a general, you're not spending much time with your family. Like your family, he's being supported by his family because he's worried. He's worried about everybody else but himself. You have to be selfless to take on these leadership roles. You have to be 100% selfless. You don't think about what Mike wants or what Clayton wants. You think about what Luke needs and what Brett needs. So again, going back to the foundation, right? That family supports those individuals, and even if they don't lose their life, that family, like the only reason I'm so successful in the military is because of my wife. She handles everything at the house. She takes care of everything. So
sounds like
and I definitely married up as well.
Me too.
I married I flew with, I didn't mention this earlier, but I flew with Air Force Special Ops Command after Desert Storm. I flew with Air Force Special Ops Command from 92 to 96 as an exchange pilot. So I was an instructor pilot down there, and that's where I met my wife. And she was an Air Force intelligence officer. She was my squadron intel. And, we had a son right away. And when she got pregnant with our second, she said, hey, I'm you're gone all the time. I mean, I was in the soft community. I was deployed constantly. And she said, somebody's got to, keep this family functioning. She gave up a very promising career.
No kidding.
Yeah, there's no doubt in my mind she would have at least been a colonel. It's hard to say if you would have been a general. A lot of that is fate and luck and timing. Yeah. But she certainly had the potential to do that.
Yeah.
So you met her when you were doing your
I was
training.
Down in Hurlburt Field, Florida, flying right by Fort Walton Beach is where that base is.
That's where I'm retiring.
Yeah, she
that was another movie I watched was Top Gun. Kind of relates to
those guys are in California. They're a little different. Yeah, we don't do a lot of boom in the tower or snap rolls or going after MiG-29
No,
or anything.
no,
That's
none
not
of that.
really, I'm not liking my chances as a helicopter guy
All right,
doing
so
that.
that movie
Yeah.
was bullshit. Then.
Yeah. Listen, a
simulator.
fighter getting to shoot down a helicopter, they like smoke a couple cigarettes before they do it. They just draw it out. Yeah, because we ain't going anywhere fast. So,
That was honestly good to hear. I want to know, what was your first helicopter that you got in and flew?
in training or in
No,
operational?
in combat.
In combat, I flew Blackhawks. My first, I guess it's combat. We flew flew into Persian Gulf in the late 80s when I got to the 160th. We were flying SEALs around and boarding ships and stuff like that. And that was...
I'm just going to leave.
I know.
so I flew Blackhawks there. I flew Blackhawks in Just Cause or MH-60s. And then I flew armed version of the Blackhawk. We call it a DAP in Desert Storm, going after scouts.
DAP?
Yeah, direct action penetrator is what it stands for.
Can I see a picture of that, Cody, when you get a chance?
Yeah, you'll and so we were going after
pull
the
one up.
Scuds being shot into Israel. So yeah,
No
it was,
kidding.
yeah. So
Now, are they a big difference, or like technology wise, from a Black Hawk to a DAP?
there's only like 15 of them in the world, and
Oh,
they
no
all
shit.
reside in the 160th. Nobody else has them. The Army's equivalent to that, or actually is more capable, is the Apache. It's just that there's a lot of reasons why we didn't go with the Apache for the attack. It's strat loadout is harder to do, so loaded out on Air Force aircraft takes a little bit more work. It didn't fit in our packages that we have to go out. And the DAP, you can take the guns off of it and use it as an assault aircraft.
No
so
kidding.
if you type in
Type in.
MH-60 DAP, direct action MH-60 DAP, right there you go.
Run it. I want to see.
So
Okay.
I go go down to the second picture, that one right there.
Oh,
So that's it.
that's dirty.
So that's an actual this is a later version. So on the right as you're facing it, actually left side, you see that's a 30 millimeter cannon. That's the same cannon on the Apache.
Oh my God.
And then on the left outer station on the wing, you got 4 Hellfire missiles there. And then on the inboard side, it's hard to see them, but those are 2 miniguns that we have fixed forward that we use for close-in work.
No kidding.
Yeah, cyclic rate of fire of 2,000, 4,000 rounds a minute. In the center under the nose, that's a FLIR turret that can self-designate for the lasers for the Hellfires. And then on the far left, that is a air refueling probe. That's not a gun. That's sitting down low. So that extends out, and we can get gas in a tanker. So when we went, after 9/11, we went into Afghanistan. That's how the only way we could get in there is we had a trail of tankers, and we hit the tankers 3 times going in and 3 times going out.
No kidding.
Yeah. So it's a great capability. You don't got to put you don't got to put fuel on the ground. You can avoid that.
And you said you could take those guns off and everything?
Take them off.
Really?
And, in fact, most of the guys flying in Black Hawk Down, we call it Black Hawk Down. The actual name of the mission was Gothic Serpent. Those were DAP pilots. Cliff Walcott, that was killed in Super 6-1, I was his platoon leader. He was a DAP guy. Donovan Briley, his co-pilot, was another DAP guy. Mike Durant, who survived and was captured, he was a DAP guy. Tommy Franks, who was killed and dragged through the streets, was a DAP guy. He was flying those. But this gives us some flexibility when we need to do it.
Really? So
Yeah.
are these more common nowadays then?
No, the only people that have them is the 160th.
And so then that means you haven't flew it then.
No, not this one now.
It's
I'm not in the 160th.
he's
I'm
not
still,
that cool.
I'm still conventional. Yeah.
Still,
But
like
we'll work on
Apache, like Apaches. Then you fly Apaches.
No, I still fly Blackhawks.
Hey, Black-
same,
okay.
the
same
medevac
bird,
version.
but it's just doesn't have the guns on.
Okay, so what's the difference between the Apache and something like that? Why? What's the difference?
If you bring up if you type in AH-64 Apache,
I'm fucking learning something today, boys.
there you go. Yeah, pull that up. So there's an Apache.
Okay.
So that bird is designed specifically. It was originally designed, and we're on the Echo model now. It was originally designed to go after Russian tanks. I mean, this was.
I saw this in Rambo too.
I don't think he flew that one. But those-
I'm just saying,
yeah.
I did. I've been doing my homework. You know what I'm saying?
These are really, really capable aircraft.
This
I mean, I'm
is
a
crazy.
huge
They're
fan
so
of them.
cool.
Yeah, that thing's got a that cannon underneath the nose there. If you see it,
Yeah.
that's an articulating. That's the same gun that we have, but we hard mount ours. It doesn't move.
Doesn't move.
No, we got a heads up display. We move the aircraft to aim the gun. That gun is made to
You
ship
flew
around.
all these.
I didn't fly these. No.
So
I
what
didn't
did you
back.
fly?
I flew Blackhawks. I flew MH-60 Blackhawks, a special ops bird. I flew the direct action penetrator we just saw.
Yep.
And I flew AH-6.
What are those?
Those are little birds. So if you Google AH-6, it should come up. I'm gonna have you.
Is this what Clayhorn did?
Cleghorn flew MH-6s.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that one right there, that's a good one. So that's one of ours.
Oh my God.
So that's
really?
set up in what we call a duals configuration right there. So on the outboard pod, you got a 7-shot rocket pod. Inboard, you got a minigun, and you got the identical on the other side. They can also shoot a GAU 19, which is a GCAL 50,
Holy shit, dude.
and that's a small FLIR that's under the nose there. But those are a lot of fun, but they are hard to fly.
And so when he says the guns don't articulate, if he's trying to shoot the shop, he's got to point the nose of the bird
straight
at
up
the shop.
down.
Straight
up
out,
and down,
yeah.
yeah.
Did you ever, with those, are they similar to the Kiowa? You guys remember like the Kiowa?
Yeah.
You draw the grease marker.
Well, the
crosshair?
Kiowa has because they have a sighting system, that ball on top, which they took off of most of them. But the way you shoot this gun is it's a grease pencil mark.
Yeah.
That is when there
Grease
is
mark.
no sighting system. There's no reticle. There's
Really?
Yeah, you count up the rivets on the side of the windscreen, and you go over, and then you usually run a line up the inside of one of your pedals, and then you put a big grease pencil mark, and then you use Kentucky windage off of that.
Oh, sounds like me shooting a rifle.
Now, the only way you can get away with that,
and my bow. Who am I kidding?
the only way you can get away with shooting like that is you got to shoot a lot.
Yeah.
So the 160th shoots more than all of Army aviation combined.
No kidding.
By far more. Like when my memory may be off a little bit here, but when I was a lieutenant flying those DAPs, our allocation of rockets per month was, I think, 80 rockets per pilot per month. And that's what the AH-6s have. And that's just internal training. That we may get extra if we're going out. Yeah, so those are, you shoot so many rockets that you're just tired of shooting.
Really?
Especially these. So they fly without doors off.
Yeah.
So I went out on the range with these guys at Fort Campbell one night. I was shooting. I was the first of the 160th commander. And it was like February. So it was like 30, 35
Cold.
degrees. It was cold.
Way cold.
Well, now you're in this thing, and they put me in the left seat because they hate me. No, I'm kidding. They put me in the left seat because you get more wind in there. In fact, I had so much snivel gear on, and I was still shaking. My wife said, "Don't ever do that again."
Yeah.
The whole house was shaking. You were shivering so bad.
Really? I
Oh, yeah.
imagine.
It's cold.
Do you know a guy named Tom Castagna?
I know Tom Castagna.
Yeah.
He's a great guy.
Super good guy. He's
Yeah.
still there, right? As a civilian cat.
He might be a civilian. He's retired now, but he flew KWs. He was a Kiowa Warrior guy, and he came over. He's a little bird gun guy. I may have flown with him a couple times. Gary Linfoot, one of my guys, crashed May 30th, 2008. He's a paraplegic now. He flew with Tom Castagna.
Yeah.
Small world. So
Yeah.
I deer hunted with Tom. We deer
for
hunt in
real?
Texas. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a really good guy. Tell him
Super
I
good
said
dude.
hello if you talk to him. Yeah,
I will.
I think
Absolutely.
I think
Now,
highly.
tell
of
me,
him.
if we take one of these to Texas, I could get a pig.
You could get a lot of
Cody, we're in, dude.
Yeah, I think the military would have a little issue with.
Come
you
on, I got a
shooting pigs.
general here.
Yeah, you don't. I wouldn't be a general very long.
Oh, I'm just thinking so you just said you went down to Texas and you shot some hogs down there?
Yeah, we got some guys. I think it's a nonprofit called Central Texas Warriors. It's run by a couple of sheriffs and run it. And they took us out. We were shooting AR-10s, 308s with thermals.
Yep.
Yeah, we just walked.
Was
up
that a
on-
lot of hogs?
Yeah, it was awesome.
Really?
Yeah, it was.
That's
a
so
lot of fun.
cool.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
I
Really
haven't
good
done
guys.
have you done the helicopter yet? Have you done that? Obviously, you fly a helicopter.
Have you done the helicopter yet, Brett?
But have you
shot out of
shot out of it? Like an AR-10 at pigs?
Yeah.
So what I fly is a HH mic. So a 60 mic. So it's the medevac version of the helicopter.
Okay.
And per the Geneva Convention, we're not allowed to have
Guns.
Guns, basically.
Okay.
Personal, you can have self-defense weapons on you, like a knife.
On you.
Right.
Yeah.
But we're not allowed to shoot out of our
Yeah,
helicopter.
I did a
Really?
medevac tour too. I was in the 101st Flying Medevac, my first tour out of flight school.
No, and then you decided what, change?
Well, I went to,
Or is that just the ranking of it?
no. My whole thing was I wanted to get into special ops aviation. I mean, that's what I wanted from.
Really?
Yeah, I hadn't even left Fort Rucker, Alabama, which is where flight school is, and I was already jonesing to get to.
Really?
I didn't even know what it was called, the 160th. I just knew that there was someone out there that was doing cool stuff, and I wanted to be part of it.
Well, now that you're here,
I don't know why he brought me. I just look like a piece of shit now.
Hey, put in your packet, pal. Put in your packet.
No, that's what I'm
Life's about
saying.
choices.
Like it is, right? It is about
Listen.
choices and opportunities, right?
Medevac flying is some great flying, and I mean, Third ID is a great organization.
Yeah.
And and people, a lot of guys don't go for a lot of different reasons, family or geography or just where they're at.
Yeah.
Well, I will say though, what's special about like Brett, he's been in the shit on the ground. So,
And what do you mean by that?
like getting shot at? And
You
like
you were
knowing,
combat? Okay.
knowing,
I was with the
knowing
same
what
team
it's
as Mikey.
yeah.
Oh,
He was-
okay.
he-
So you just advanced it now into
Right.
you're smarter than
I
him to
dropped
get in the
I dropped
plane.
my flight packet.
Yeah, he is smarter than me. He's 100% smarter than me. But having that knowledge, you kind of have the empathy, right? Like when guys
what's
are
going
in the
on
shit.
the ground.
Yeah. So he'll take a little bit more risk than some other guys because he knows what's going.
what it's like.
He knows what's happening.
Yeah, we aggressively, I'd say a high percentage of our pilots, I wouldn't want to put a number on it, are former Green Berets, former SEALs, former 75th Ranger Regiment guys, infantry types. I mean, the vast majority are that. And we want those guys because they have an empathy for the guy on the ground, and they're going to do exactly what Mike said. They're going to go. I mean, I used to tell guys, hey, we put you in, we're coming to get you out. I don't care what's going to
100%.
happen. We're going to absolutely come get you out. You don't have to worry about that. I mean, and Mogadishu was a perfect example of that. We just kept putting, and we lost a lot of helicopters that day.
So were you the platoon leader?
I
during
was not
Gothic
there.
Super,
No, I had left
or-
after Desert Storm. So I was down at Hurlburt flying with the Air Force. That was
Okay.
October 3rd, 93. And then when Durant's wife called me and said, hey, he's missing, because he was missing at first, then I hopped on a plane and flew up there and flew over to Germany with the regimental commander who ended up being the SOCOM commander later, General Brown, Doug Brown, great guy, and brought Mike home.
No
So
kidding.
I was flying with the Air Force. In fact, we were training up at the time for Haiti. That's when General Cedras was doing all that stuff, and that was our deal. We were going to
Really?
yeah, which was like a big bunch of nothing because he gave up the babies.
I don't know, man. It's just I'm kind of surreal right now. Like I got a real badass. Like people thought Aaron Steiner was a badass, but I got a real badass right here. You know what I mean? Like this is the real deal. I must say, like for you to fly at all these helicopters, right? Mm-hmm. Did you have to be so good at like math? Did you? I mean, you said you were about to be a dropout, right?
Yeah.
Like so. Like this is, I'm talking because I talk to a lot of kids, a lot of like high school students that obviously school is struggling for them.
Yeah. Me too.
So, like, you're a general now, and you said you entered to be a Marine.
Yep.
And now look at you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I wouldn't say math is necessarily that important. What I would say is that an education is important. Now, I married a math major. So my wife was a math major from Clemson, and all three of my sons my two older ones are engineers, and my youngest one's a chemistry guy. So yeah, they got their brains from their brain houses came from their mother. Yeah, it definitely didn't come from me. That leaving the whole toilet seat up thing, they got that from me. But,
Yeah.
But so I wouldn't say math. There is some physics in aviation. There's a lot of aerodynamic stuff that you got to learn. But I wouldn't say that's really math intensive for me. But education is what's important.
Education.
Right? And keeping your grades up is important because that's a discriminator for if you're going to get selected for something, to go to a school, they're going to look at your grades. And listen, when I was 17 and 18, I mean, I was not a strategic thinker. Let's just leave it at that. But I quickly figured out that education is the key.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm, like I said earlier, I'm so passionate about it.
Yeah.
So yeah, education is the key. And they're going to realize that, but a lot of times it may be too late.
Yep.
Yeah. 15 years later.
15 years later, you're like, I could call it an elk, though, huh?
Just now starting college.
Hey, well, what about you, Brad? Did you think education was that big when you started?
Yeah, absolutely.
You did?
I've actually never been to college yet. Sorry, I know I'm gonna get a talking to after this, but
Yeah. Yeah.
But so you got out of high school.
On my list, pal.
You got out of high school and
same-
you
same-
just
same.
joined.
I was 17 too. I'm pretty sure Mikey was too.
Yeah, I was 17.
And I joined as infantry, just basic infantry, airborne infantry for the 82nd, and spent about 8 years there as just a dumb grunt, and then dropped my flight packet and did that. And it's like, I tell a lot of people that ask me, like, Brett, like, how the hell did you become a helicopter pilot? I was like,
Right.
Look, dude, if I can do it, you can do it. Like, anybody can do it. It's not
Our
I
former
don't know why
platoon
it's so
sergeant, I called our former platoon sergeant when he graduated flight school, and I said, well, Brett's a medevac pilot now, and the man's name is TJ Wakefield, and he said, I don't care if I was on, like, the worst objective ever. If Brett landed the helicopter, I would say, no thanks, I'll walk.
Really?
It's a little bit insulting.
But Brett is going to have to get, I mean, if you're going to, at some point, you got to have it in the warrant. I mean, I think now they
Just
want
be
you to have a
competitive.
master's to get a W-5. I think
Right.
they want W-4, you got to have you got to have a bachelor's degree. So
It's
you gotta-
education.
Yeah, you got to
Yeah.
do it. I mean, or if maybe you got enough time in service, you're happy with being a 3, but a promotion board's going to look at that eventually and say, "Hey, where's your education?"
Yeah.
And that doesn't, you can say, is that right or not? Is that a necessary skill? No, but it's the system.
Yeah.
So that's what they look at. That's one of their discriminators.
Yeah. I would definitely not probably make I don't even know how it goes, but I would not go very high because I did not like education. It's not that I don't like learning.
Yeah. Learn
It's-
different ways.
I
right?
love learning new things, right? Like
Right.
whatever. But school, I had ADD like a mug. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. School reading is tough.
No, I get it, and it's a struggle for all of us. And I tell guys all the time, I used to walk around the hangars and talk to young troops, and I'd ask them all, "You going to school?" "No, I'm going to." And I said, "Well, here's the deal about school. Nobody's going to check on you if you're going, about going to school. Nobody's going to hold, if you don't show up for formation, you're going to get in trouble. If you go to school, if you don't go to school, you're not going to get in trouble. There's always a million reasons not to go, right? I mean, it could be I got a wife, I got a family, I got a job, but it's still a game changer.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm not saying that you can't be successful without school. In my particular case, I can guarantee you this, I would have never been a commissioned officer, much less a general, if I hadn't went to school.
Yeah. And it's kind of like me relating it. Like I always relate things to what I know. Fighting, being, if I would have done more road work, more cardio, more this, wooden gassed, I would have been a higher paid fighter, world champion maybe, right? And it all just works hand in hand, right? Like if you want to get to a bigger picture, a bigger platform,
Got to work.
It's all
about working.
It is, right?
Yeah, there's a young Green Beret that, not so young, but he just got out. He got his master's, and he's looking at me. He goes, "Well, I want to do what you're doing." I said, "Hey, dude, I'm at the end of the journey. You're at the beginning of the journey. I mean, the master's is great. He got an MBA out of University of South Carolina, but I said, there's still experience and things like that come with it.
I mean, experience is probably a huge, key.
Critical. Yeah.
It's just like, I can take my out of shape ass and spar with some of these young up and coming fighters.
Because it's
it's experience, right? Like I know when to go, when to not. Same thing probably with you, right? Like experience is the key, right? Like,
well, especially as a leader. So I'm a big believer that leadership is a learned experience. It's not people. In fact, Aaron and I had a little exchange on that in a podcast earlier. He said, "Well, there's guys that are predisposed or gals that are predisposed to be better leaders." I said, "Yeah, true, but remember, training for leadership didn't start when they got in the military. It starts with your parents. So they may have been raised a different way that gave them a leg up.
100%.
You know, but I will tell you that, you know, leadership is tough. Leadership's not tough. Being an effective leader is tough. It 100%. Means you got to be consistent when you don't, you know, it means you got to look out for somebody else instead of yourself. And sometimes you just don't feel like doing that. You feel like looking out for yourself. And it changes, right? So the leadership skills that I had to have as an aircraft commander, a pilot in command of an aircraft, or a platoon leader are significantly different than the leadership skills I needed as a regimental commander, as a colonel, and even different from what I needed as a general officer. And then, a step forward, when I took over the Special Ops Warrior Foundation, I was sitting down with Admiral McGuire, turning over, and I said, well, how many people are in this foundation? Well, I didn't know anything. And he said, 16. And I remember thinking to myself, 16 people? I mean, how hard can that be? I mean, that's nothing. Mm-hmm. Well, that's 16 civilians. And civilians and it was a learning curve for me. They're great folks, but it's not that common ethos and that common, I mean, in the military, everybody doesn't do, you know, I think civilians think, well, you know, you give an order and they're just going to automatically do it. I say it doesn't really work that way. I mean, they may say they're going to do it, but they, you know.
I tell my wife that all the time.
yeah, it's a cry me a river, pal. Yeah, and so but in the civilian world it was different, so I had to learn new techniques, you know. I mean, I can't take everybody out on a morale run in the Special Ops Warrior Foundation. I got grandmothers in there and things like that. So it's just a different skill, but I'm still learning. And I've just learned to never say I'm done learning on being a leader.
Yeah. You know, he's talking about leader. And you know way more than me about it. But just from my little deal, I tell my daughter every day I take her to school. Mm-hmm. I tell her, hey, study hard, listen to teacher, follow the rules, and be a leader. Yes, Dad, I'll be a leader. I go, what do I mean by being a leader? If you see somebody being a bully, stick up for the other person. I said, well, yeah, but I want you to be that person that sees somebody that maybe is quiet or shy. Go talk to them. Go be their friend. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, go see how their day is doing. This is something that I wasn't in high school or middle school. Yeah. I was my dad would whoop my ass if I ever started a fight, but I was not the bully, but I wasn't
outgoing.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I am now.
Yeah.
I'm night and day difference than I am now. Like, I'm more like outgoing than ever. And I think that's what fighting did for me, is it humbled my ass. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it did. And like, there is somebody tougher than your ass out there, right? There is. And to me, that's what probably did me the best, you know, is fighting. It humbled me. And I just try to tell my daughter, you know, be a leader and not just be a follower, right?
Oh, I think that's sage counsel. I mean, and listen, one day your daughter may not appreciate it now, but the light's going to come on, and she's going to thank you for that. You know, my oldest son is getting ready to get married. He's engaged, and he was down with his fiancée, and he said, it pains me to say this, but, you know, all the things that you and Mom told us, like, I get it now.
Yep.
And I'm like, wait till you have kids, pal. Then you're going to really get
That's
it.
when I got it. Yeah. That's when I got it.
Yeah. Then you're like, holy crap, my parents put up with a lot of stuff.
I get my curfew and shit, and like always call when I got to a place.
Yeah.
Like that's the part. That's the part I get now, because holy shit, she's talking about, hey, Dad, you think we could have people spend the night at our house? I'm like, yeah. If you want anybody to spend the night, you're not going to anybody. You're coming to our house, so I can know what's going on, right? Like, it's so weird.
Yeah.
And I understand what my mom and dad did.
Yep.
For me, or what they went through.
Yep.
As you know, but at the time you're like, God, I got such strict parents. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but it pays off.
It does. It is.
My wife crushed my boys. I mean, she was the bad cop.
Was she really?
Oh yeah, she's tough, and they all thank her for it now.
I'm sure,
and they're doing really well.
Yeah, and so you have 3 boys?
3 boys. Yep. I got my oldest just graduated NC State with a graduate degree. Got hired by John Deere. He's moving out there. My middle one is about a month and a half away from graduating from Duke. He's a
Oh my
dual
gosh.
major. Yeah, he's a computer science and biomedical engineer. Again, don't be looking at me for any credit for that. I mean, like I said, I'm the toilet seat guy.
Toilet seat
But
guy.
he just got hired. We just got the word earlier this week. He's working for some medical software company called Epic up in Wisconsin.
Yeah, they try to get my trademark, but I trademarked my shit. My shit's epical.
Epical? Did they try to get yours?
No. We could have sent all the corpus some envelopes to jawbreakers, though.
Yeah. And then my youngest one is a sophomore at Clemson. He's a chemistry major. So, yeah, they're
Holy
doing good.
cow.
I give their mother complete credit for that.
Nah.
No, listen, I was gone.
Yeah, but
I was gone
you got
all-
you got the genes. They got the genes.
Well, she used to call me divorce dad because I'd come back off a deployment and I'd have like a bunch of toys and stay up late, do this, do that. She's like, really? I'm like rowing the boat with these kids and you come in and break all the rules?
Yeah.
So she started nicknaming me divorce dad.
Divorce dad.
Yeah, that's what she called
That's how you know you got a solid wife, though.
Yeah.
Get that kind of
yeah.
nickname. Like,
No, listen, she
she's cool.
tunes me up as required and probably a little more often.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: what, like, going in as a 17-year-old
Yeah.
Marine, right? Have you ever had any like regrets of doing something different?
No, I mean, it depends.
Minus
when you
your
ask
family.
me.
Minus
Yeah.
your family. You know, you
Yeah.
know, you would never sacrifice that again.
No, and I think it was ultimately good for our family. I mean, my kids learned a lot. They saw me serving a cause greater than self. Now, did I have regrets when I got off that bus at Marine Corps Recruit Depot, San Diego, and they were getting the shit kicked out of me?
Yeah.
Yes, I definitely had regrets. I was like, I have made a huge mistake.
This wasn't the bus to college?
Yeah, I was like, what
What am
about
I
this
doing
whole
here?
warm welcome aboard the team thing, And I was like,
Yeah.
there's none of that. So, yeah, and were there times in my life where I wish I was anywhere else? I'm cold and wet,
Yep.
Or flying on a mission where things are not going well. And, I just want to be, Desert Storm was like that. I wanted to be anywhere else. So, yeah, were there times.
And how long did you serve there?
in Desert Storm?
Yeah.
We came over late. I mean, like the 82nd was there first. They were there for a long time. But they were in Desert Shield, which was sort of the buildup. We came in for a specific mission to go after those Scud launchers because Saddam Hussein was shooting them into Israel. He's trying to bring Israel into war. He wanted it because he figured it would break up the coalition, and he was right. It probably would have. So we got over there in January. I think we left in March, maybe. Because it was over. I mean, once the war started, it didn't last long.
Yeah. Because we some
But
bad
listen,
motherfuckers, huh?
Well, we went through them
We
like
some
a hot
bad
knife
motherfuckers.
through
You
butter.
can say it
We
on this
did.
podcast.
They got crushed.
And I had nothing to do with the ground war. I mean, I didn't even know it happened. I went out one day to run. We had a 10K perimeter run around the airfield, and I was going out to run. And I was flying with Cliff Walcott over there, Mike Duran over there. And they had a little sign out on the side of the thing. Is you got to run with your gas mask. I was like, run with your gas mask?
What?
Not on, but you had to wear it.
Have it
yeah.
with you.
And I was like, that's a bunch of crap. Who made that rule up? And that was because the ground war started that day. But, I flew. That was some tremendously challenging flying. We didn't have any altitude hold or anything on our airplanes then. And I punched in. We call it punching in. I went inadvertent into the clouds or into dust storms probably at least every mission at least once.
Really?
Yeah, and you're flying. That's harrowing.
Brett says, hell no. What's it called?
Inadvertent IMC.
This is kind of cool because I see the guy that's done it and the guy that's coming up and he says hell no and you do it every time.
The first 30 seconds to a minute are critical because if you don't just accept the fact that you can't see the ground anymore, you just got to commit.
Yeah.
And a lot of guys don't want to commit. So they want to try to get back where they can see, and that's a mistake, and that's usually where you smack in.
That's what happened to those guys in Fort Walton. They thought they punched into the clouds. It was a really foggy morning.
Yeah, the guys in the water.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
that
the
were doing the
rings in the back.
helocasting.
So
Yeah.
these guys punched into the clouds, and your proprioceptive system gets all
Yep.
screwed up. When
Get
you do that.
vertigo,
Right.
you
They
keep
thought,
your head
they thought
down.
they were going forward and up, and they really were going backwards and back like this.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
And their tail rotors hit the water, and
It's you're sucking a seat cushion up your tailpipe there when that happens. I mean, it's all hands on deck, completely focused on keeping the airplane upright. And the Black Hawk is made for that. So the Black Hawk you got enough tools in the cockpit to help you through that, but you got to use them. That's and a lot of
Yeah. A lot of training and everything.
Yeah, I mean, Black Hawk's a great airplane. I think it's probably the best all-around aircraft.
Really?
Oh yeah, I mean, listen, you look at what happened in Mogadishu. We had one get hit on the side with an RPG, blew a hole the size of a door in it, blew the windshields out, knocked out one of the pilots, cut a guy's leg off. Brad Hollings, a retired Delta guy who just started Sergeant's Valor's Whiskey in Pinehurst.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's a great dude. He's above the knee guy, which is a different game than a below the knee amputation. But I mean, that airplane still flew.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, it still flew. The landing gear was jacked up and it listed over when they landed. We had Mike Duransberg crash so hard that it snapped the main rotor blades. And those are titanium spar on the leading edge. And so, I mean, that's theoretically not even supposed to happen. And
Really?
And they all lived. I mean, they were jacked up, but they lived. So the Black Hawk's made for combat. Triple redundant hydraulic systems, triple redundant electrical systems. Main transmission will run for 30 minutes, no oil.
Right.
And we had one do that in Mogadishu. There's only one time I've heard of anyone ever doing that. And they were out over the city, lost their oil pressure, and they flew it right back across the city with no oil.
Wow.
And it made it. Because when that big fan stops up there, it's
Yeah.
like bad, really
Yeah.
bad. Yeah, like you're going down like a greased brick.
What about the Chinook? So isn't the Chinook like designed to crash? That's what I always got told when I got on a bird.
Well, it's because they say that because the rotor systems intermesh, right? They overlap. You got a synchronizing box or a desync box. I don't know.
Okay, what is the Chinook?
So if you Google MH47.
MH47?
Yeah, MH47.
Okay.
You'll see it. So I used to make fun of them when as a Black Hawk guy, but they are awesome.
Really?
Oh yeah.
And
There's an
I've
MH47
seen
right
these.
there. Yeah, so those are miniguns. They've got air refueling probes. I mean, we couldn't have done the initial missions into Afghanistan without them.
So
They're a heavy lifting airplane.
did you fly any of these?
I've flown them before, but I'm not rated in them. So as a regimental commander, I could fly them. I mean, they're easy to fly.
Are they really?
Well, when I
There's
say
some big bastards.
there's a lot of. Well, I don't got as long as they're big, but
Call it Big Windy. That's Big Windy.
That looks like berries. You know what I'm saying?
You see that is berry.
yeah,
The Chinook is the berry of the sky.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
and I mean, they're good at high altitude.
Yeah.
And when you get a high elevation and you're working up like in Afghanistan, I mean, it's rough flying over there. And
because the mountains and everything.
There.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm a huge fan of that bird.
Really?
And ours are different, so they got fatter tanks than a regular Chinook.
Yeah.
So they can keep the center, so they can load vehicles in there, so they don't have to have center line tanks inside the cabin. And it's made. When I was, I think it was we were doing a JRTC with 75th second Battalion 75th Rangers in '89. And that's JRTC was at Fort Chaffee then before they moved it to Fort Polk.
Yeah.
And we had some Chinooks in there, and they brought in 100 Rangers.
No kidding.
Yeah. And in fact, I thought they were bullshitting me. I thought the Rangers were running out the back and then circling around and going into the side door because they just kept coming out.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was like a colony of rabbits back
Like a
there.
clown car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Oh yeah, they're good airplanes. I mean, they're really good and they're combat proven. I mean, that's what was flying the SEAL QRF in on the Lone Survivor mission.
Yep.
It was one of those that took an RPG. That was 8160.
That one right there, huh?
Yeah, that same one.
Oh,
So
shit.
there's missions we do in Afghanistan, and when you go to a certain elevation, you have to plan for a Chinook medevac chopper. But they're cool. Those pilots are ballsy. They'll land. I've seen them pick dudes up on a mountain, so it's like this, and they just put the tail down on the ground so you can get the guys on. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yep.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
But its nickname is the shit hook.
I've never called it that out of respect, but yes, I have
Sorry,
heard
sir.
that term.
Sorry, sir.
That's all it is. But every Chinook pilot out there is going to say,
Look at it. So go back up real quick, Cody. That Chinook.
So that right there, that picture.
Yeah, that right there
is
Cody.
from an early. That's a 160th Chinook. So that is they picked up a Yeah, that's an Mi-24. That's a Russian attack helicopter
That one right there is.
that they're slinging out. So that one was that picture was taken in Chad. The one there that's highlighted. Yeah, not that one. That's the one with the helicopter underneath. Yeah, that
one you were on, yeah.
That one. Yeah, that one.
No kidding.
Yeah, and I think that Mi-24, that's a Hind, that's still flying. I mean, they got it
They have
flying.
them in, I just came back from Romania, and that's what they fly.
Yeah, the Russian aircraft
Really?
are primitive, yeah. I've flown Mi-17s, which is the Russian version of sort of in between a Black Hawk and a Chinook, and they are primitive.
Really?
Yeah, they got a truck transmission in them.
So these pick up pretty much everything, dude. Tanks.
So the Marines fly the CH-53. I think they're getting ready to go to the Mike model, and they carry more. But we use ours like a big Black Hawk. We don't use it like those pictures of them carrying artillery pieces and all that. That's what the Chinook was designed for. The Chinook was designed to transport artillery in support of a division, but we don't use it that way. We use it to mass combat power on an objective. Yep. So that's a 53 there. Another great airplane. I mean, built by Sikorsky. I've never flown one of those. I've flown in them, but I haven't flown.
I didn't realize there's so many different planes.
Oh,
choppers.
Tons of them.
You know, you watch Predator, get to the chopper. You just take fucking one chopper, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
God.
No, that's a Huey.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
That's a Huey. I got a little time in Hueys, too. Yeah, I got about a couple hundred hours in Hueys.
I got to break it up, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
With the general, you know what I
We're
mean?
a little more advanced in the whole Predator thing, yeah.
I was worried, you know, at first because I was like, God, dude, I want to start my jokes or anything. I mean, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? The general's going to slap me across the table. Yeah, I can live with that.
Yeah, that's a smart move. On that general slapping an MMA.
No, come on.
That'd be good,
come on, General.
Here's your sign.
No, come on.
So a general, a 2-star general and an MMA fighter walk into a bar.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm just telling you right now. He tells me I'll do it.
That's how every good story starts.
Yeah, that's I'll do it. So doing all this, right? Like, where'd you grow up? What was your hometown?
I went to high school in Lake Stevens, Washington.
In Washington?
Yeah, north of Seattle, about 30 miles north of Seattle.
Okay. And now you in Florida.
Tampa.
And, you left the rain.
Hey, listen, you get a lot of rain in Tampa.
Yeah,
in the
you do
summer,
get a little. Yeah, you do.
thunderstorms. But
Yeah.
we love it there.
Good for you. You know, I here's my deal is like, even to me, when I look back at my little peon life that I've done so far, it's pretty amazing that what you have done and accomplished and where you've been overseas.
Fortunate.
And you know,
Blessed.
and to come back and talk about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like I like, to me, that is where it's at. And I just must say, I can't say thank you enough to, you know, all you guys, but this is what I really curious about. Like, have you ever been like in the plane and be like, what the fuck am I doing?
Oh, yeah. Well, you mean like, what do you mean by
like
that?
in combat or?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, fuck.
I did a mission we did a mission called Reindeer, and it's been published, so I'll talk about it. So it was June 11th, 2003.
Yes.
So we were, there was no kidding, there was a terrorist camp. That's out west. So that's out by a town called Rawa near Haditha, which is out western Iraq. And so we had picked up some intel that there was about 100 foreign fighters out there that were getting ready to disperse in small teams and attack a bunch of our U.S. coalition bases. And we got the mission. And on that, and we did what we call a half-GAF assault. So a helicopter assault force on one side, GAF stands for ground assault force on the other. So it was B Company, 2nd Ranger Battalion. It was the ground force. And so I was in the lead Chinook. And I just remember we came in, and it was the best mission I've ever been on. I mean, it was pretty cool. And we killed like 100 dudes. I mean, it was.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. They were stacked up like cordwood when it was all done. But we came in there, and there was tracer fire coming out of that. They were in a wadi. They were sleeping in the walls of this wadi, and they had a mill van, and they were sleeping in. and the tracers were just coming out. So we were flying under the tracers, and there was no fire coming from our front. It was all coming from the left side. So I took my chest plate, and loosened up the straps and slid it. I said, if I'm going to get shot, it's going to come through this side. And we had our AH-6s were shot up. I mean, we had RPGs shot at them. One bounced off the nose, didn't go off. I mean, there was windshields were all shattered.
Oh my God.
Oh, it was epic. I mean, it was really
epical. You can say.
Oh yeah.
As a general, you can say.
Well, listen, I'm not getting promoted again, so I'm pretty sure I'm on the mic plan. So
doesn't have to worry about a promotion.
Yeah. So anyway, I was really. I mean, the team did great. I mean, we had one Ranger, Matt Waters, who I'm still in very close contact with. Took an RPG below the knee while he was clearing the objective. I thought he was going to bleed out. We sent in one of our Casovac birds and pulled him out, and he made it. He's a cop in Tacoma with a prosthesis device.
Really?
Yeah. He's been with the police department now for 16 years.
Good for him.
Yeah, he's about done with law enforcement.
I'm sure
he wants to do something else. So I've been working at no success yet, but trying to get him a job. But he's a great guy. Yeah, continuing to serve. But
wow.
Got him out of there.
Man, that's crazy, right?
Yeah, that was a great mission. I mean, it was.
That's crazy. To me, it's just he says great mission. I'd be like, and this is the thing. Like people are like, dude, how do you fight? Why would you fight? Blah blah blah. Like, listen, that guy is another man across the ring from me, octagon. I know what he can do to me. I see everything. Like, fighting another man isn't that bad. Hand to hand, it's okay, and you got a referee to pull you off. It's not that bad, right? Like, it really isn't.
I don't know. Some might disagree with that whole.
I
hear you, but I hear exactly what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying is like you guys went into the shit, and where like the organization that you represent, it's people did not come back to. You know what I mean?
Lots of them.
And that's why I say, like, people are like, oh, man, you're crazy. No, not really, man. I wasn't the guy I was the guy that dropped out that did join the Marines. This was my other option. You know what I mean?
Not a bad decision. Not a bad decision.
But this is the thing is, you guys are the real deal modern day gladiators. I mean, it is. It's crazy. And where you guys don't get enough, I don't think you guys get enough respect. And especially nowadays, it's just so hard to, well, let me ask you this. How is the recruiting going today from, let's say, 10 years ago? How's that happen?
I'm not real current on that. I don't think it's going as well as it, like right after 9/11, recruiting was through the roof a lot.
Yeah.
Because that just tells you the patriotism out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think it ebbs and flows based on the economy. If the economy is doing really well, then you're going to get less recruits. When the economy is not doing great, it's good for the military. Because, listen, you don't understand the value of joining the military until after you've been in the military, right?
100%.
You don't get, I'm going to go be miserable. I'm going to go get treated like crap. I'm going to go expose myself to danger. Yeah, exactly. And you're going to serve a cause greater than self, and you're going to have a relationship with the people you serve with that you will never have with anyone else. Maybe save your wife. And even that, it's different.
It's still different.
Absolutely. And, you're with somebody like, Matt Waters, I'll do anything for him anywhere. And I got, a lot of guys that I serve with. Mike Duran, I have the same relationship with him. So to me, that you're just not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah.
So for me, it was the right thing. Not the right thing for everybody, but I wouldn't do anything different.
Yeah. Now, do you hear like this talk about like new millennials and stuff like that? You've had kids and blah blah. Yeah. So I want to hear like, do you think the millennials are less to join or less patriotic, or I mean, I don't want to put you in a thing, but tell me, what do you think?
Well, I guess the bottom line is I don't really know. They're certainly different. It's different than when I went in. I mean, I think they're better educated than they were when I went in. They're more aware of, their rights. I mean, we got millennials that have been fighting in Afghanistan and Iraq, and they're still doing it.
True.
I mean, and so I don't know. I mean, I have concerns, right? I mean, this me generation, and but I also think that, I guess I also understand that I don't really know.
Mm-hmm.
I think people rise to the occasion.
Yeah.
When push comes to shove.
Yeah, I mean, you got to step up.
Yeah.
I mean, there were fights that you're in, like you didn't want to go back in there, right?
Yeah.
And you got to step up, and and I think people, like I said, rise to the occasion. So it's different. It's more challenging, and it's challenging for a lot of reasons. Now, I mean, social media, it's like instant.
Yeah.
It goes viral instantly.
Mm-hmm.
So that wasn't around when I was younger.
Yeah.
It's just a different game now.
Speaking of that, I mean, we usually have Cody on the mic on, like we ask our listeners what the questions, and stuff like that. And I just know off of the top of my list of a few questions, what do you think of social media nowadays compared to when you first started? Like, has it, how it just took over mainstream, false being false stuff and good being good, what I mean?
There's, like anything, it's not all bad and it's not all good. I think people are better informed about things because of social media, but there's not a lot of quality control in social media. I mean, a lot of fake news out there, a lot of manipulated, both on the left and the right, where people are manipulating, taking things out of context, and it goes viral. So, I guess I have concerns about social media. I mean, it's a reality. It's not going away. I don't think anything's going to change with that. But, I mean, it's just harder to figure out the truth.
Do you do social media?
Yeah. I mean, we do it as part of the job. I mean, I'm on, my Facebook. My kids say, okay, that's like so yesterday.
Yeah,
so,
right. Instagram?
I don't do Instagram. The foundation does.
Yeah.
I'm on Twitter.
Okay, cool.
I'm only on Twitter and I'm on LinkedIn, but
For
I'm only on
the organization.
Yeah, because of the Special
And
Ops
what is
Warrior
that?
Foundation. It's what's our, I don't know what our Twitter handle. It's Soft Warrior.
I'll get everything.
Yeah, but our
from you.
website is specialops.org.
Okay.
And everything's on there. All of our links, all of our, so yeah, follow us. And we do there's a lot of cool posts on there about like our kids when they're graduating.
Yeah, that's huge.
We just had a young girl, Sarah, out of Piner. She graduated took a bunch of certification courses to be a firefighter.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So that's what I mean. Here's an example of not going the traditional route in school. I think she went to Sand Hills Community College, but
Good for
she's
her.
a serving firefighter right outside of Fort Bragg.
Right on.
Yeah.
And then another one that pops up to me is like what was the difference between, or how do you feel the difference of how the military was treated when Trump was in office versus Obama?
Well, first of all,
Not trying to get too political,
I'm not
but
I'm not a political dude.
me
That's
neither.
in my DNA as an officer. I think that it was different.
Yep.
So I think there was probably more emphasis on the military, but Obama, he made some hard calls. He approved the UBL raid. So I mean, just different, right? I think I don't think we were treated I think everybody respects the military. If you we're the most respected institution generally when they do polling like that.
I hope so.
And I don't think there's any president that didn't respect the military and what they do. I mean, and I'm not again, I don't have any political stuff in my, I'm not saying a political thing, but Biden's kid served. Right?
Really?
Yeah, he died of cancer. I mean, but he served. He deployed. He was in Iraq. So, I mean, I think what gets me more is there's like less of a bigger concern for me is it used to be after World War II that almost all of the senators and congressmen in our political leadership had served.
Mm-hmm.
And that number has just continued to dwindle. And I don't care what side of the aisle you're sitting on.
Yeah.
I mean, they understand the military and what they do, and I think that diminishing number of our political leaders that have served is a concern for me.
Yeah.
Because and that probably concerns me more. I really, to be honest with you, I don't see much of a difference from my perch. And I mean, my last job, I was in the Pentagon all the time. I was, up there on video teleconferences with the Pentagon as the director of ops for U.S. SOCOM.
Really?
All the time.
Do you think that's because of servant leadership, how servant leadership it's ingrained in our mind, right? So I don't think about what I need. I think about elevating my subordinates and making them better. Like, that's my goal. Do you think that that's why, we're losing it in politics? They don't have that servant leadership mentality?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it varies by individual, right? I think some do. My former flight surgeon in the 160th was a infantry company commander in the 82nd, Mark Green. He's a congressman for Tennessee. He was a West Point guy, went to medical school after he commanded an infantry company in the 82nd, and he's a serving congressman. Mm-hmm. So he's certainly got it. I think the military has a different view of leadership than most. But I'll tell you, it's something that George Marshall said in World War II, which I've always ascribed to, is he said military officers shouldn't vote because we're above political rivalries, right? We support, and our oath of office that we take, both as an enlisted as an officer, is we support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
And that was worded very carefully. We don't support a political party or a president.
That's
Contrast that to Nazi Germany in World War II. They swore an oath to an individual, to Hitler. We do not.
Yeah.
So, to me, I didn't vote until I retired.
Yeah.
Didn't vote. It used to make my wife mad. Well, we got local issues here, school board. So I said, I ain't voting.
Yeah. I get it.
Because I don't line with any.
Yeah.
I mean, I support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
Yeah.
And I still feel that way. I have voted in the elections now, but I didn't before. So that's just my mindset. And because I'll be honest with you, in our foundation, we have, very liberal-minded folks that support the foundation because of the education piece.
Yep.
And we have very, conservative folks that support us.
Mm-hmm.
And frankly, we need them all to do it. A mission like this without resources is a fantasy. I mean, we have to have it. I mean, I don't want to raise money. I'd rather have, going out raising money is not my funnest thing to do.
No, it's hard. It's a lot of time. Yeah.
Well, I don't like asking people for money.
Exactly.
Period. I just don't like it. But we do it. I have to do it as part of the job. But anyway, I don't know. I always used to think that I was smarter than my boss until I sat in his chair.
I heard you say that.
Yeah, and it's true, right? I mean, when I was commanding 1st of the 160th, I mean, it's a huge battalion, and I was 50 meters down the hall from my boss, the regimental commander. And because of a fluke, this isn't the normal way. I mean, that was my 2nd battalion command. I commanded a battalion in Germany, and I picked up my little box of I Love Me stuff, walked down the hallway, and just took over the regiment.
Really?
And I used to complain and bitch about some of the policies, and I've told him this. But then when I sat in his chair, I was like, I
understand.
I get it. Now I get it, right? The picture's bigger than my battalion. It's the whole regiment, right? Mm-hmm. And it's even more so when you get to be a general officer. You have to make enterprise decisions. And so that goes all the way up. So when you're the president or you're a political leader, I mean, your view is different.
Yeah.
I will tell you, I have zero desire to ever run for any office whatsoever. Zero.
Well,
Well, you
that's
just
what
ruined
we're
your
missing.
shot by coming on the Gladiator.
Yeah.
It's gone now.
Yeah, I have
secure now.
zero. I mean, I would not. Somebody asked me a couple years ago, hey, you should run for office. I was like, absolutely not.
No, you did not. Not your cup of tea, huh?
Not my deal. Not my deal.
No.
So, but what do you think of? So, I have this theory in the conventional side of the Army, growing up in the conventional side of the Army, watching my lieutenants that I've mentored and trained. Mm-hmm. The good guys always go. They cross the fence. They go on the other side of the fence. And I kind of have that theory, too, with, like, running for office, right? Like, the guy that should be in charge doesn't want to do it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that, you got to be ambitious. You've got to have a thick skin because, automatically, what if you align with a party, half the people hate you. That's sort of the way it works, right? Yeah. So I think I just wouldn't put my family through that. Yeah. The scrutiny on your family and,
Mm-hmm.
and frankly, I've served, right? I've done my time.
Absolutely.
And I want to continue to serve, but more on my terms,
yep.
right?
Which you're doing right now.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And I think I would venture to say I'm having more impact on more people in a more meaningful way doing 100%. What I'm doing now than what and I'm on the Gary Sinise Foundation as a ambassador and on his advisory council. And Gary's been asked that.
Yeah.
Why don't you run? And he said the same thing. Look, I can do more this way. And he helps first responders. He helps, he is everybody. All over the place. Veterans, everything. And he has a freedom to do it where you don't have that kind of freedom when you're in the system.
That makes perfect sense. I never thought about it like that.
Brett, you got anything to ask him?
No, not yet.
No, you just admire, I honestly, man, I know you got a big dinner meeting.
Yeah, I got to get out of here in a few minutes.
And I'm very thankful for you coming down here.
Oh, my pleasure.
In this
I enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun.
Right? It's different. Yeah. Well, like I said, you were podcasting all day, right?
Yeah, I was, yeah.
And
I never did one before I had this job, ever.
I know, right?
Would I have?
I know, right? I always like to say you saved the best for last. In fact, who is it Andrea? Your who's the
Angel.
That's who it is. Yeah. Your operation. Dude, I got a message from Angel. And we just wanted to make sure confirmation, everything, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, damn, dude, I got someone coming. But then I also had you in my calendar on Thursday. So I'm so glad Angel called me. So she
is incredible.
She is.
She's very organized.
So, so then I asked her, I said, Angel, I got to call. I called her up. I said, does the general drink anything? Red wine? How about some, whatever?
Oh, I drink. Trust me.
Yeah.
I'm just not drinking because.
You got to, whatever.
Yeah, I got to drive.
And it's a long ways from where you got to go. And I said, she goes, well, no one's really ever asked me that. I said, yeah. I said, yeah, well, that's me. I said, I think he drinks some bourbon. You like bourbon?
I got bourbon, yeah. I got a few bottles.
Good for you. Yeah,
big old buddy of mine is the CEO of Bardstown Bourbon Company up in Kentucky. Long-term
good
special
place.
Operator, former 82nd guy. So he keeps me,
stocked.
He doesn't keep me supplied. I buy my supplies.
Yeah, good for you. He's supported. So Angel,
she squared me away. Good deal.
So then
I will pass that on.
Yeah, I called her right away though this morning because we got dumped on. We got a foot of snow.
Oh, I know.
Here.
Yeah.
And I was like, did he fly out this morning? Did his flight get delayed? I didn't know, And she was like, no, he was out the night before. I was like, well, then he's probably safe. Just tell him that he's gonna run into some snow though.
Yeah. We don't get a lot of this in Tampa.
No, I didn't. That's what I was worried about. And then when I called Snyder, I was like, hey, is he there on time? Oh yeah. Affirmative.
Plus or minus 30 seconds, baby. That's my motto.
You're on it, right?
Night Stalker motto. Plus or minus 30 seconds anywhere in the world. You call, we're going to be there.
Man, I tell you what, right now, I don't want to have you late for Mountain Primal because they're a huge company and we got some cool things happening with them. John is
the guy.
The man. He is a good dude. He made my back. Like, I honestly just tell him I said hello.
I will.
Yeah.
I'll tell him everybody I was with today. He'll probably be.
He'll be good. I honestly, I'm excited for the things that we got going on with their company. And I'm telling you, I talked to Roger. He's like the whiz guy, the marketing guy.
Yeah.
The guy you probably talked to a little bit. They're looking forward to working with you.
Good deal.
I
Good
said
deal. Black Rifle's been a huge
Black
supporter of
Rifle's a
ours.
huge, is a good
Even
one.
though Evan Hafer is the most irreverent SFNCO I've ever met, and I hope he listens to this.
I thought he was an officer for a long time.
No, he gives me shit. He told me when I first met him, he said his first words were, I hate generals. And I'm like, I'm standing right here, right?
Evan did?
Yeah.
No shit.
Yeah,
right?
when I did the podcast with him, he said, he gave me the same line, and I said, well, listen, if you think it's a walk in the park, for me, milk and cookies hanging out with some irreverent SFNCO, then
Right.
you guys. I said, as a matter of fact, Sergeant, I stood out at the front gate of your little ranch here for like 30 minutes waiting for you to come open this gate because I'm a general and I'm clearly not going to open that gate by myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You
So-
should. Exactly.
But I ended up opening that gate.
Yeah,
by
I know.
myself.
Goddamn
I
him,
never
huh?
would. I had to yank his chain. He's a great guy. They've been huge
Yeah.
supporters. But they're
Good.
coming out with a coffee with our logo on it.
Good for them.
And they're donating the profits to us. I mean, they're committed
on it.
to serving
They're on
others.
it. Yeah, they are on it. It's good coffee too.
It is.
It is
Yeah,
good
believe me,
coffee.
I'm a member of the club. Even
Yeah.
before when I was active.
No kidding.
Yeah, I'm active.
Good for you.
And he just came out with a new Little Bird cup with guys sitting on the pod. So I ordered that yesterday.
Well, Mr. He's a writer, right?
I write for him, yep.
Yeah.
Well,
He
not
write.
anymore because I said that Evan's an officer. I thought he was an officer.
Yeah.
I'm fired
Yeah,
as
you're
Yeah,
definitely fired
the
now.
day
yeah.
this
Guess
gets
what?
published.
Yeah,
I'm
he's
fucked.
offended. He's probably sending you your paper. And then there was they've written some Coffee or Die magazine has written
Yep.
some articles
Yep.
about us, and they've been really supportive.
So once again, what's the website people can check
Yeah.
you out?
Specialops.org
Okay.
is our website, and
All right.
everything's on there. We're transparent. All our financial documents are on there. And there's all our contact information. And if you've got a question that's not answered on there, you can get a hold of me. I take the call. So
No kidding.
Yeah, just call me. I mean,
I might just call you and just tell you what do you
well,
think
I'm
of
not
this
taking
bourbon?
your call. No, I absolutely. Yeah, I'm all over it.
Yeah.
Call for a letter recommendation.
No, yeah, there you go. Call
Yeah, I'll
letter.
get you a letter recommendation to go to school.
There you go. I was gonna say, I got some Call of Duty friends, and I'm like, oh shit. Well, I don't know. I don't want to keep you too much longer, but hey,
I got a jet.
I appreciate you coming out here, General.
Thanks. man.
This is
I
honestly,
appreciate it.
a lot of people can meet some cool movie stars, rock stars, but to me, thank you. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate you coming out to my little humble abode.
No, it's a cool place. That's quite the man cave here.
I mean, this is nothing, you know. I was like, "What, Baker? He's coming out to my studio?
Well,
I got a vacuum."
Luke texted me and said, do you know who Major General Clayton Hutmacher is? And I'm like, yeah, I know he is. He's like, Baker just volunteered me to do a podcast with him. And I'm like, does Baker know what kind of fucking podcast you have, Luke? And I text Baker. I'm like, have you ever listened to this podcast? He's like, no.
But guess what?
He'll listen to this
Shocker.
one.
Yeah, right.
Shocker.
Yeah, he always just does it, right? Baker's
yeah.
Baker.
Yeah.
Love him.
But I appreciate your time and you coming all the way out here. And guys, if you guys are listening to this, there really is an impact and a donation to people
Very appreciated.
that's served our country. I mean, guys that have fallen, they have kids, and you know what's even the saddest thing that what you said about that whole thing? Dads never even saw their newborn,
Yeah, we got several of them.
Mm-hmm.
Several of them.
and
Like
the kids
dozens.
have never seen their
seen
dad.
it. Never.
Well,
But
they-
nothing but a picture.
All they know is that he's a hero. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
That's it.
But they don't get the same mentor.
Yeah, no, and that's
So-
what I'm saying. It's what I'm saying. It's like your organization goes far, far, far in their life. So,
Doing nothing more than we should.
well, more than what I have ever done. I'm telling you that. And I appreciate you guys, all of you guys here at the table. Yeah, man, I appreciate you. And we out of this, baby. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.